All right, today we're going to unpack a really cool concept, one that's totally fundamental to understanding business risk and, profitability. We're talking about operating leverage. Let's dive right in.
So, have you ever looked at two different companies and wondered about this? Like, let's say they both grow their sales by just 10%, but one company's profits just skyrocket, they double. Meanwhile, the other one just gets a little 10% bump in profit. What's going on there? Well, the secret, that hidden magnifier, is all about operating leverage. Okay, just picture a real physical lever for a second. You give it a little push on one end and bam, you get this huge amount of force on the other. It's the same idea in business. That little push is your sales revenue, and the lever itself, that's your company's cost structure. And more specifically, it's all about how much you rely on fixed costs. And to really get a grip on this, we've got to start with the fulcrum of that lever, the pivot point. In business, that fulcrum is your fixed costs. Seriously, they are the foundation for everything we're about to get into. So, what are we talking about with fixed operating costs? Well, these are the bills that just don't care how much you sell. Whether you sell one widget or a million widgets, these costs stay the same. We're talking about things like the rent on your factory, the salaries for your admin staff, or the depreciation on your big machines. And here's the kicker. You have to pay them no matter what, even if your sales drop to zero. And that, right there, is where the risk comes from.
This is where things get really interesting, because this is a strategic choice. Think about it. On one side, you've got a factory owner, right? They have massive fixed costs. The building, the machines, the whole shebang. That's super high risk because they have to sell a ton just to cover those costs. But once they do, every extra sale is almost pure profit. The rewards can be huge. Now, on the other side, you've got someone who's just a reseller. Their costs are mostly variable. They just buy a product when they sell a product. It's way less risky for sure. But their profit on each sale is pretty stable. It's never going to explode in the same way.
Okay, so we know this magnification effect exists, but how do we actually measure it? How can we put a number on this thing? Well, that's where this awesome tool called the degree of operating leverage, we'll just call it DOL, comes into play. All right, and for anyone out there studying for an exam, listen up, because this is super important. There are two main ways to calculate DOL. We're going to start with the first one, the single period version. This one lets you look at a company's performance in, just one snapshot in time, like a single year or a single quarter. But wait, before we jump into the math, there's a really key idea we need to get straight first. If we want to measure the impact of fixed costs, we have to be able to see them clearly, to separate them from everything else. A regular income statement kind of mushes them all together. That's why for this kind of analysis, we use something called variable costing. It neatly splits out the costs that change with sales from the costs that don't. Okay, ready for the formula? It's really just 3 simple steps. Step 1, you take your total sales and subtract all your variable costs. That number is called your contribution margin. Step 2, take that contribution margin and now subtract your fixed costs. That gets you to your operating income. And finally, step 3, you just divide that contribution margin by your operating income. And boom, that number right there, that's your DOL.
All right, let's actually see this with some real numbers. Check out this table. We've got a company with $100,000 in fixed costs. What I want you to notice is how that DOL number changes as they sell more stuff. But first, let's zoom in on what's happening when they sell exactly 500 units. So at 500 units, look at that operating income line. It's zero, a big fat zero. Why? Because their contribution margin, which is 100 grand, is exactly enough to cover their fixed costs, which are also 100 grand. They're not making money, they're not losing money. This is the definition of the break-even point. So what happens if we try to calculate our DOL right at this spot? Well, remember the formula? It's contribution margin divided by operating income. That means we'd be dividing $100,000 by 0. And what's the first rule of Math Club? You can't divide by 0. So right at the break-even point, the DOL is officially undefined. Seriously, tattoo this on your brain if you're taking a test. It's a classic trick question.
And this brings up another super important point. What if the company is actually losing money? If its operating income is a negative number. Well, you can do the math, but the DOL will also be a negative number, and honestly, it's not a very meaningful or useful figure. So just remember, DOL is a tool that really shines when you're looking at companies that are already profitable.
All right, so that was version 1, the single period formula. Now let's check out the second way to do this, which I gotta say is often a lot more intuitive for people to grasp. We call it the percentage change version. So this one is all about looking at the change between two different points in time. The formula couldn't be simpler, really. You just take the percentage change in your operating income. You'll often see this called EBT, which is just earnings before interest and taxes, and you divide that by the percentage change in your sales. That's it.
Let's put some numbers to this. So in this example, a company's sales grew by about 28.6%, and their EBIT grew by 20%. You take that 20%, divide it by the 28.6%, and you get a DOL of 0.7. Okay, but what does a DOL of 0.7 actually mean?
This right here is why this version is so cool. It gives you a really powerful direct interpretation. A DOL of 0.7 means that for every single 1% change in sales, this company's operating profit will change by 0.7%. It works both ways, up or down. If the DOL was, say, 3, then a tiny 1% bump in sales would lead to a whopping 3% jump in profit. It's a direct measure of how sensitive your profits are to changes in sales.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together now. It's pretty clear that operating leverage is a powerful force, right? But it's absolutely a double-edged sword. It can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
And this is the big takeaway, the core trade-off you always have to think about. A company with high operating leverage, lots of fixed costs, is built for speed. When sales are climbing, their profits can go ballistic. But that exact same structure makes them incredibly fragile. A small dip in sales can completely wipe out their profits. On the flip side, a low-leverage company is built for stability. It can handle a downturn much better, but you're just not going to see that crazy explosive profit growth when times are good.
And before you wrap up, I have one last, absolutely critical piece of advice. This is another one for the exam takers out there. When you calculate DOL, you must always use operating income, or EBIT. Never, ever, ever use net income. Why? Because net income has interest and taxes baked in, and that's all about financial leverage, which is a different topic. Using net income is probably the #1 mistake people make, so don't let it be you.
So after all this, we come back to the big question. Is high leverage good or bad? And the answer is, it depends. It's not about good or bad. It's a strategic choice. It depends on how stable your industry is, how much risk you're willing to take on. The real key, the thing that separates the pros, isn't just picking high or low leverage. It's deeply understanding the trade-off you're making either way. And if you can master that concept, you are way ahead of the game.